So today we're going to be continuing to look at a scenario where civilization restarts. We are now on episode 4 of this series, and so far you guys have been loving it. Now in the last video I did ask you guys if you preferred the gray map or the normal white map, and a surprising majority of you guys actually do prefer the gray map. In another video it was kind of contested, but now it is pretty clear, so we're going to be sticking with the gray. Another idea that you guys had was to color the ocean a darker blue to symbolize which waters they have explored, and honestly that's not a bad idea either. Now there is only one issue with this, and that is that my ocean is on the same layer as the land, so if I do try to color the whole thing a different color, it's going to affect some of these countries, but it's probably not too big of a deal. So here I have done my best to make the map, look pretty much the same, but there is a difference in the ocean water which they have explored and haven't. So yeah, that's good enough for now, I guess. I mean, I can maybe change it in the future, but I don't want to make the blue too different, otherwise the map is kind of hard to look at. Anyway, if you guys do enjoy today's episode, make sure to show some support on it by leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. We're aiming for 200,000 subscribers by the end of this year, and it's possible, but I need your support first and foremost, so all of that is greatly appreciated. Anyway, let's go ahead and start our civilization scenario. All right, in the last episode we had a lot of things happening. We had this new Dutch Empire kind of thing starting up. We had the red team expanding a little too much and losing some land, and we had the full colonization, or I guess discovering of Europe. Well, mainland Europe. So our first event of this video is going to have to do with the purple team, and the purple team, like I said before in the past episodes, is a sort of nomadic kind of country. Now they are a very large country at this point, so the whole nomadic thing is probably changing from moving around a lot to maybe just staying in one place, and they have found themselves on the Italian peninsula, but they will do one last thing before they go fully, I guess, stationary, and that is them releasing another country in southern Greece. Now this country was kind of pushing for its independence and the whole nomadic thing, so the purple team is okay with releasing them. However, they do make a new statement saying that they will be no longer spreading around, and they will now be going stationary instead of nomadic. So now the purple team, losing some maybe eventually some valuable land, they are going to be hungry for more expansion, except they won't be colonizing, they will be going to war. They're going to be going to war with the country that holds on to Sicily, and they will successfully take that country over. And now we have ourselves, well, Rome versus Carthage in another timeline. The blue team isn't too happy about this. However, they won't be able to retaliate because they don't have the technology to do so. The purple team is probably more of one of the most technological advanced countries in the world at this point. Obviously the red team is number 1, purple's probably number 2, 3 probably the blue team down here, and then the green team up here. So really, with this series, it's a lot of making your own assumptions. Like the most powerful country on this map is the red team, obviously, but number 2 is pretty much up to you. I would argue that it's probably the purple team, the green team, or the orange team, but you might think differently. And that's totally fine, because this is your guys' scenarios. I do look at the comments a lot in these videos, and I end up doing a lot of your suggestions for the series, like the whole Rome versus Carthage reincarnation. That is something that I saw in the comments, and that's something that I did. So if you guys want to see something happen on this map, then put it in the comments, and it might actually happen in the video. Anyway, with the recent loss of Sicily over here to the purple team, the new blue team will go ahead and get some more land in the Iberian Peninsula. The purple team sees this, and they don't like this, so they move to cut off the blue team from taking any more of the land north of Iberia should they want to, and they meet up with the Bay of Biscay. Is that what? I forgot what it's called. But they meet up with the water over here in France, and this cuts off the blue team from going north into France, and this makes the blue team even more angry. So the purple team and the blue team have some serious beef. Meanwhile, the blue team, they haven't been touched in a long while, and that's because they can't expand anywhere. So with that, they're kind of domesticated, and they can just focus on themselves internally, and that's part of the reason they've been around for so long. So I thought I would just address that, because they haven't moved in a while. I mean, they did try to colonize Africa, but that didn't work, obviously. And actually, speaking of this colony, it essentially just collapses, and that leads to the darker blue team coming in and taking land, as well as, believe it or not, the red team, who takes a good chunk of them over where Djibouti would be nowadays, or I guess actually Eritrea. The blue team will make no attempt to take land here. They've gone pacifist, and a new country forms in the ashes of the old teal team, except it's kind of really divided, so it doesn't go exactly like that. It goes more of like this, and the teal team is left to southern Africa. So they are the southernmost country in the world, whereas we have the yellow team at the northernmost. You guys also cooked up some pretty good lore for the yellow team. I was reading through it. It was kind of good. I didn't read through all of it though, because there were a lot of comments on it, but the top one I saw was pretty good. Anyway, now to the yellow team. Speaking of, These guys have had some, they're probably like the most interesting country so far because of just how much they've changed. You know, they started down here in Crimea, and now they made their way up to Northern Europe in the Baltics. And honestly, let's go ahead and screw them over some more. So within this country, you know, the people, the civilians of the country, they do not want to expand anymore. However, the government wants to expand, or it wanted to. Now it has taken a more of a relaxed approach since they keep breaking apart, as you can see here. All three of these countries used to be part of the yellow team, by the way, if you're new to the series. If you're new to the series, why are you watching episode 4? You'll watch episode 1 and then come back. But yeah, there's still members of this government who want to do the expansion thing. And what they do is they basically say, we quit. Any civilians within any of these 4 countries who want to go back to the old ways of the yellow country and want to rapidly expand across open land, come join us. We're starting a new country. And where do they start this new country at? They're going to start it over here in northwestern Poland, or where it would be. And well, they do exactly what they want to do. They expand rapidly. Now, the population of this thing is not much, so it's pretty impressive that they're able to do this. But they eventually have to stop because they just don't have enough people to expand anymore. This country does get a lot of immigration. It gets a lot of people from the brown team going over, a lot of people from the orange team, the yellow team, and all of these other previous yellow team countries. Everyone else is pretty blocked off from joining for obvious reasons. You know, the purple team would have to go around the Alps, which that's a lot to do. So they don't do that. Also, I think it's important to note that I don't think countries like go back and forth between each other at this point. I mean, you probably can do it, but like, it's not like you don't want to do it. I'm sure most of these countries are pretty racist. Well, yeah, they definitely are. Anyway, the brown team will do a little bit more expansion. They're going to go for a few of these Copenhagen Islands, and then we even go into Sweden. But at this point, it's time for some more exploration. We have to catch up on that. Now, when I do these short little exploration breaks, it doesn't mean that this is all like, you know, the world stops expanding, explores, and then goes back to expanding. That's not the case. This is pretty much happening at the same time that all of the expanding is happening. It's just too much to jump back and forth at the same time. So yeah, this might have already happened, but the brown team does explore more north into Sweden until they have a lot of the southern part of Sweden explored. They also send another exploration team onto Britain, and they go a little bit north until they get near Wales. The lime team puts on a bunch of cold gear, goes into Russia, exploring the Moscow area. And most importantly, the lime team over here will go ahead and explore the rest of continental India. So that is now all discovered. They know what's happening here, and they start to move more into this area. People hear about the vast open land over in India, and they are immediately interested, especially people from these older countries over here. So like we saw with the formation of this beige team, a lot of people are going to immigrate over to this new open land over here. So people from the green team, people from this color green team, people from the lime team, people from the blue team making the voyage, and even people from the red team making the voyage. And at this point, I'm running out of colors to use. So we're going to be using this new color. It's like an orange, brown, red thing. This new country forms, and it's a country of immigrants, like the United States was when it was formed. Nobody, I mean, of course there's no humans here, so obviously nobody from India is here, but they quickly become a very large country, and that's because of the mass amount of immigration from other countries. And at this point, I do think it's fair for me to say that naval travel is getting a lot better. Of course, you're not going to be able to go around the world. However, you are able to make distances like from Arabia over to India, from, you know, this part of, well, I don't know why you would do this, but this part of Iberia over to Sicily, you know, from northern Libya up to Greece and Albania. I would say even Norway to the Denmark area down here. In fact, let me just draw a line. That's how far they can go at this point. And with there being more and more people being born, because, you know, it's been a while since the Red Country was formed, technology is advancing pretty rapidly until we eventually enter a new age, which I'm going to be calling the age of rapid technology expansion. So the world is becoming more and more advanced, and at this point, I don't know what year they're in. You guys can make up your own years, and you know, they're like in a Bronze Age or an Iron Age. That's all up to you. You guys decide how things are happening. Eventually, as the series goes on, you know, eventually, you know, guns will be added, but that's many episodes down the line. We're also going to be having things like, you know, bows and arrows. I'm pretty sure we're probably at that point or past it. You know, maybe we're like in a medieval kind of time, so really this world is very advanced for how like confined it is. But who knows, maybe soon that we'll see a rapid expansion into Asia. Definitely not hinting at the next episode or anything. Anyway, back over to the European team over here with the Dutch. They are going to go ahead and colonize, or start to colonize, England. This is a pretty smart move by them because they now control the English Channel, and you know, it's not like there's like active trade going through here, but it is nice just to, you know, own a body of water. This will be useful later if they survive. And I'm actually kind of starting to see a parallel, you know, the Saxons coming over to England, or the Anglo-Saxons. Yeah, this is interesting. This new country has gotten itself some more people in it now, so they're going to expand a little bit more. Not much, but they will make themselves look presentable when you zoom out, sort of. The yellow team will go ahead and jump across the Gulf of Finland and take this land. People start to freak out a little bit, but the government is quick to calm them down, saying, just calm down. But at the same time, they go behind their back and take over the rest of the surrounding area, but no one really notices too much. Ignore the tax raise, right? Anyway, the yellow team is now looking pretty good, actually. They have a lot of this Baltic coastal areas, and I know this area up here is probably frozen as hell. Like, they're not getting any boats out of there. But, you know, you have down here in Kaliningrad where you can, you know, ship stuff off if you want to go explore over here. Speaking of exploring, this island is discovered, as well as this island over here, which is owned by Yemen. And honestly, sticking over to this area, we see that travel is becoming more and more prevalent by sea. We see that this new country formed over here in India is now going right across over to this other country over here in Africa, and hence this coastal area is further explored, and you can kind of start to see travel routes develop. You know, of course, going with the curvature of the Earth, so of course it's not going to be like a straight line. Oh, I'm just remembering something from AP World. So monsoon winds, those are important because they go like this, and then I actually kind of forgot how they work. I know it's like one big circular thing though, right? Something like that. Yeah. More area around India is discovered, and Asia is becoming a hotspot for new explorers, and a lot of people are starting to immigrate over here, knowing that there is still a vast amount of land to be discovered. Christopher Columbus, just kidding, we're not at that point yet. But we are at the point where the Alpine Mountains are now fully explored, and the purple team, having just explored them, will go ahead and colonize the area. Now, when I say colonize, I don't mean like they, you know, start building cities in the Alps. No, they just lay claim to that area. I doubt there's anyone living there except for like lumberjacks. But they do lay claim to the area and expand themselves pretty nicely. And the purple team at this point is now ranked number 2 in the world of power. Now I know I said I'm going to leave that to you guys, but that is an official statement by me to you, letting you know that, hey, you know, you can make up everything else, but red is number 1 and purple is number 2. The rest is up to you. That all kind of worked out in a weird rhyme thing. With the mainland area of Europe starting to close in, more of these countries are going to be looking to expand in order to get as big as possible before they are cut off from expanding anymore. The orange team makes itself one final land grab. The new beige kind of team thing does their thing, and the yellow team will somehow justify taking the remainder of this land. The brown team moves quickly to take over any land that the cream team could take. However, they don't go too far, as they don't really want to border anyone else. They don't want that beef, they just want to work on themselves, which honestly respectable. But they do start to take more and more land until eventually they just stop. Good for them, having self-control. The purple team will take a little bit more land until eventually they opt out of this whole expansion thing. And the rest will go over to the cream country. I gotta think of a different name. So now, Eastern Europe is filled up and looking something like this. Not a lot of countries here because they're so freaking huge. But we do see a few more countries pop up. You guys can make up your own scenario for these countries popping up. However, they will be popping up. One over here in Western France. The purple team is quick to cut them off from any further expansion because they were like that. And guess what? Another new country. This time where Switzerland is. Well, north of there, but they're like German, French, weird hybrid thing. They're here now. And now Central Europe is completely full, and we're pretty much at the point where Western Europe is about to be full as well. So the purple team, being the land gobblers that they are going to take more land. They're going to also snatch these islands right here and take a little bit of land over here from northern Spain until eventually they reach their limit of land expansion because they are getting freaking huge. And now for our final formation, we have this weird dark blue black hybrid country thing. I'm really struggling to find colors, or we'll do that looks better. These guys are their own thing, but also partly part of the blue country over here, and still being the softies that they are unable to do anything about this formation. And honestly, it's kind of surprising that they have this land in Spain. Wouldn't be surprised if they lost that in the next video. But yeah, modern day Portugal has been formed. Okay, well, I couldn't just leave this white space here for the thumbnail, so I had to color it in. We have this dark purple country forming. Make it up for your guys' selves. Honestly, I was thinking that, you know, maybe people from the purple country who wanted to keep expanding despite the massive land amount that they have already. The government said no, so they did it anyway. That's my lore for it. You guys can make up your own lore for it, but I mostly had to do that just for this video's thumbnail. Anyway, that is going to do it for today's episode. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're trying to get to 200,000 subscribers by the end of this year. We are 34% of the way there, and we have around 11 months to get there. So all the support is greatly appreciated. Once again, thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. And of course, thank you to all the super fans, which include Matthew Newman, Yam, Kali Speaks Plays, Shadow Gamer Z, Deva Edits, Mr. Bonk 7, Hammer Toad 45, Patrick Clauser, Connor the Gamer, Texan Cowboy Cheese, Poland Country Ball, Yakko, Nevada Garbage Trucks, DW Cool Dude, Soviet Ball, and Serminator. Once again, thank you guys.